Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me today. I'm Bobbie Goldie, and I'm responsible for IAT's corporate distribution as well as moving and storage. Welcome to What's Brewing, where we're going to discuss IAT's products, services, trends in the insurance industry, as well as what makes IAT unique. And what I'm really grateful for today is not only do I have Mr. Scott Miller here, who is the SVP of Independent Contractor, we don't have to virtually toast. So welcome, and thank you for joining me.
It's great being here. Thanks for having me, Bobbie.
Yes. So what I would like to start with is, if obviously you are a veteran in this industry, you've been doing this for quite some time, and you've actually been with our company for quite some time. So before we get into the details, can you give me a little bit of history on your career?
Well, Bobbie, I've been in the insurance field for 38 years. I know I probably started when I was 10 or something like that.
I started when I was 4, so don't worry.
We're good.
Totally get it.
Mainly in the personal lines business until I joined IAT in 2006. So 16 years in the managing the independent contractor business. Just been the best stop in my entire career managing this group in Kansas City, and having a lot of fun with it, and just love our structure and our company and our organization.
And do you like the switch from personal lines to independent contractor?
Yeah, it's night and day. Personal lines is very, small accounts, lots of competition. I use Missouri as an example. There's over 600 licensed companies in the state in personal lines.
Oh my goodness.
And in the space I'm in, there are basically 4 or 5 competitors, and we're all pretty rational, and so just a stable market and stable product structure just makes it a lot of fun.
That's what attracted me to IAT and moving and storage, having that limited competition in the market space, and being best in class. It just makes it fun, and obviously our culture is fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely, and people make it, and being able to work in parallel with the moving and storage group, and just our history with a lot of our customers we've had for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And we really pride ourselves on retention, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more later on. But that's the bread and butter of our business, is extraordinary customer service and taking care of the client.
That's nice. That's nice. So your division specifically, do you want to give us a little history lesson on them?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting the way our structure came to be what it is. 2 parallel paths. One is NEIT. We use an association as a backdrop for everything we do. Started in the early 80s, and I found in my files just the original document of writing the original occupational accident product. A motor carrier, the owner or founder of NEIT, a couple of lawyers wrote the product, which is an alternative to workers' comp. So that was the early 80s for the association. It was an MGA run in Kansas City throughout the years. And kind of paralleling that is TransGuard. Domesticated in 1987 in Illinois, taking on a group captive book of business for the Allied van lines. So 1987, you got the insurance paper in Naperville. In Kansas City, you've got the association kind of at a parallel track, mainly in the freight space. But then in 2002, Serva, which is our previous owner of acquired NEIT, put that with TransGuard, and then all of a sudden we're serving both the household goods and the freight market, putting those two together with the product that had been designed by NEIT. So 2002, and then
ingenious.
Yeah, it just parallel paths collided, and all of a sudden we've got both entities and a great structure to work with. And then housing market crashed pre-2005, 2003 to 5. Ratings changed for TransGuard. In came IAT, acquired both NEIT and TransGuard. Infused capital, got the rating back, and that's when I joined the company, and just been a perfect marriage since then of great stable organization, great ownership, and we do our thing in Kansas City in the independent contractor space.
Oh, that's a great story. So now, if I were to look at trying to access you, I had some business that I thought would fit into your wheelhouse.
Yep.
How would I access you?
I think the easiest way is just get in touch with me. Our distribution is primarily retail brokers, north of 300 under contract currently. We do have some general agents. Frankly, I'd like to grow that space.
Nice.
So we're willing to interface with anyone who has independent contractor over-the-road trucking business, and that can be either on the freight side or the household goods side. So, we're knowing that it's somewhat of a mature market. Independent contractor world with all the regulation and everything isn't growing, to be
Yes.
honest with you. There's around 350,000 independent contractors. There's not a list of them anywhere to be found. So we, through a variety of sources, try to tap into that group, and we're willing to work with any distributor. And frankly, there are some cases where we'll go direct to the consumer. So we're willing to work any way that is appropriate to engage with independent contractors.
Very nice. Okay, so now we've talked about distribution. Let's get in a little bit about the product offering. What exactly, you hear independent contractor, I heard you say something about, alternative work comp.
Yep.
What exactly is your product offering?
Well, our flagship product is occupational accident insurance. It's an alternative to work comp, fixed benefit period of 2 years, TTD, CTD, medical coverage, et cetera, for on-the-job injuries. And because it's limited in that 2-year window, it's obviously a lot more affordable than traditional workers' comp. So the degree to which a driver, owner, operator has checks all the boxes that they're truly an independent contractor, that's an appropriate coverage for them versus paying statutory work comp. So flagship product, occupational accident. There are 4 or 5 of us in the industry providing that type of product. All of us are pretty similar. We do have some differences, though. In addition to that, we write physical damage coverage, non-truck liability, and some workers' compensation. So there are cases where, especially on the household goods side, an owner-operator, he hires casual laborers.
Yes.
Loading, unloading, et cetera.
I'm really familiar with that in my
Yeah,
other
you might
world.
be.
Yeah.
But it's a kind of an interesting exposure. You don't know who they are, when they show up, how they're
Yes.
paid, et cetera. But over our 30 years in the business, we've understood that exposure and learned how to price it and how to manage losses. So we're comfortable writing the casual labor, usually on a casual work comp coverage or an occupational compensation, which is a lot like comp, but not comp. So we write that as a package. So we're covering the driver, who he hires, and loading, unloading, et cetera. And that's just the right bundle versus writing work comp on the whole bundle.
Yes.
So it's 30 years of writing that, we understand that exposure. So we love household good movers.
It seems like the product offering you have really fits into that independent contractor space where it's a need.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's only 4 or 5 competitors, but I guess I probably liken it to moving and storage, where it's a finite market space.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in order to get a decent market share, you had to have been doing it for quite some time, and obviously doing it well.
Yeah, and if you look at our book of business, we go from the one driver that pays us directly. It's not a settlement deduct program. Our biggest customer is 1,400 drivers.
Wow.
So we go A through Z. If you have good independent contractor business, we're a good solution for understanding the needs of that motor carrier and providing great service and claims coverage for the independent contractor.
All right. So we talked a little bit about this, but I'd like to go a bit deeper. So it appears based on what you said alone, I should have enough to know you're best in class. But I'd like to go a little bit deeper, and can you talk about some of the advantages with regards to your program? I know you mentioned NATE.
Right.
I say NATE. You say NAIT.
I say NATE too.
Okay, good. And what does that stand for, by the way?
It's the National Association of Independent Truckers.
Okay.
And you know, back to the origins,
Yeah.
it was designed as a placeholder to provide benefits to make the lives of independent truckers easier. Use the buying power, get them
Yes.
better deals on tires, fuel, medical coverages, et cetera. So NATE is a platform that is different than our competition, that we write all of our coverages. The named insured is NATE.
Okay.
Different than everyone else. So if someone else is writing an independent contractor, it's probably going to be in the name of the individual
Okay.
or the motor carrier. So we issue the policies to NATE and certificate off of that. And the reason that's important is one of the additional coverages we add to the fold is a contract liability cover, and that's a $5 million limit protection for the motor carrier.
Wow.
So in our world, independent contractors eventually will get injured, get a lawyer, seek employee status, seek a deeper pocket, if you will,
Yes, of
going
course.
after work comp benefits. So one of the important protections we have is they're members of NATE. They sign an application saying, I'm an independent trucker, joining an independent trucker organization. We use that in the defense process. And it's not there just to provide insurance. NATE has some benefits that are very unique to the industry. Telemedicine, big deal right now.
Absolutely.
Especially going through a pandemic.
And now, who wants to go drive to your doctor's office
No,
anymore?
I want to
right?
dial up my doctor on a telemedicine app. So
Exactly.
we provide that free of charge as part of the membership. Access to medical, dental, vision, guaranteed life issue.
Wow.
You know, and we've introduced recently a fuel card. And the reason we're different we write a P&C group master policy for the members of NATE, where our competitors are accident and health. So we've included that contract liability protection within the product at no extra charge.
Yeah.
Our competitors are writing in excess surplus lines that the motor carrier's got to pay for.
Yeah.
So, just a couple of subtle differences in our philosophy is defend those actions first, not just pay them. When somebody is after work comp benefits, it's in the motor carrier's best interest to have a carrier that's going to adamantly defend those and,
Not be a checkbook.
don't just write them a check.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And then once someone's deemed to be an employee, you got bigger problems.
Yeah.
So, our philosophy is fight those.
Nice.
And one of the things, over 30 years, we've developed a huge network of legal counsel across the country that are truly experts in independent contractor defenses. So that's invaluable in defending those actions.
Yeah, and one of the things I've realized about IAT since I've been here is that we're just not a policy. We're so much more. And once again, I'm going to keep saying it, our insureds are so important to us. And they purchase a policy from us, but they get much more than that.
Absolutely. And historically, I'd say over the last 7 or 8 years, our retention's over 95%.
Wow.
So, we have customers, we use a policy prefix. I think number 43 is still with us or something like that from the beginning.
What a testament.
And, it's just incredible, the long-term relationship. But you don't get there by providing bad service.
Yes.
Good claim service, good customer service. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves on out of our independent contractor division is we rely on the broker network to sell the policy.
Yes.
But we take care of everything from there forward. Add, change, deletes, the EOCs, the billing, the collections. We're going to build a relationship with that motor carrier and that daily contact.
Yep.
You know, one of the funny things I kind of gauge how is our service doing is come Christmas time, the amount of popcorn tins that show up for our account managers, because that's who they're talking to every day.
Wow.
They're the bread and butter. They're all licensed. They do a fabulous job of, you know, Motor Carrier X calls me. I know them. I know them personally. We're not a bullpen customer service,
Yeah.
you know, 1-800 call whoever. They have a direct relationship with our employees. So invaluable in that retention. That's just invaluable, I think.
So you're hitting on your employees, and do you believe that those employees are that competitive advantage? Obviously, in addition to what else you've talked about.
Absolutely. That relationship is everything. A lot of our employees are 20 plus years
In this market?
in this market.
Oh my gosh.
That they have worked with, you know, whoever the daily contact at Motor Carrier X for 10 years. So they know them. And you hear them pick up the phones, you know, they're talking about their kids and their family, and oh, by the way, I need to drop this driver and add this driver. It's a relationship business, so we're not just a commodity.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So this seems very specialized.
Yep.
So I think you hit on it a little. You were talking about all the things that your team does. So for me, if I wanted to get into this, right, and I felt like I already had a good network of opportunities,
Yeah.
do I have to hire a bunch of people if I wanted to work with you?
No, that's one thing I tell brokers, and we work with the small mom and pop broker to the multinational, multi-location brokers.
Yeah.
But especially for the smaller broker who might be primarily focused on personal lines and, you know, some Main Street BOP and commercial, and
Yeah.
they have a couple trucking risks. Maybe not well versed in independent contractor coverages. One, our underwriters will walk you through what the coverages are, help you, you know, put together a program for that motor carrier. You don't have to be an expert. And because our back shop does the rest of it, you help us, we'll help you sell that. We'll put together a quote package that walks you through everything. But once that's booked, you maintain the relationship, Mr. Broker.
Yeah.
And we're going to do all the service, the billing, the collections. You know, we'll be the advocate in the claims process. So you don't have to be a trucking aficionado, if you will,
Yeah.
to write independent contractor coverages. And the other thing I would say is sometimes we find brokers aren't interested in writing the IC coverages. They're busy with the AL, the GL,
Yes.
the big ticket stuff.
Exactly.
But I would tell you that if you're not writing the independent contractor coverages, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to some of the brokers who lead with that.
Yeah.
They solve the problem, guess what? They're in the door.
Absolutely.
They're coming after the AL, the GL, the cargo, umbrella, everything else. So some of our most successful brokers, it's smaller premium, understand that, but you solve the IC problem first. Get them with a good carrier and round out. You know, it's that old adage, the more lines of coverage you got, the better your retention is as a broker. So, and I tell brokers, sell it. You know, our policy is continuous until canceled.
Yeah.
We
Wow.
review it once a year. You just keep them happy, you know. Go
How
take them to
amazing.
renewal, and generally, we price our products so that we're not adjusting every annual review.
Nice.
You know, we want a rate at the beginning that is sustainable. So, you know, motor carriers don't like to deliver bad news to their drivers. So
No.
in this inflationary era,
Yeah.
we got to push things a little bit.
Yeah.
But generally, once you're booked with us, you're good.
And that's what they need right now.
Yeah.
They need some sustainability.
And in their world of 80,000 drivers short and trying to recruit, you can't have this insurance doing this all the time.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So, so we've talked a lot about your product and what is good about IAT and the service and the team and all of that. I would like you to go into maybe a time where there was a risk or a project or whatever it may be, where you had to think a little bit differently, a recent success where IAT really stood out and your team stood out?
I'll give you a couple examples.
Cool.
One may not be so recent, but several years ago, a major motor carrier, turns out to be one of our largest accounts, came to us December 30th in a little bit of a bind with some legal issues, et cetera, but they had to put together an insurance product for their owner-operators.
Yeah.
We turned that thing around in 2 days.
Was it like a 1-1?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
2 days. Pushed our appetite a little bit. They've been insured with us for 15 years now, and they're over 1,000 drivers.
Oh my gosh.
But we listened to them. We understood the exposure, put in the right controls, et cetera. But it's just been a long-term relationship.
And they're probably never going to leave you because they're going to remember that.
Well, most of them are gone from when that happened, but hopefully it's a long-term deal. The other is one of the major van lines. We spent about 6 years having conversations with them about, why are you writing workers' compensation on your ICs? After about 6 years, they finally saw the light and said, let's give independent contractor / TransGuard and IAT, all of our brands,
Right.
give them a chance, and we're a major player for them now, and really chipping away. And my AVP was at a conference last week with them and just rave reviews of our account manager and the accolades of, she always picks up the phone, she answers my questions, I get great service. My competitor won't even call me back. That's where the rubber meets the road to me. So
I agree.
It took forever to get them over the hump.
Yep.
But now they're really seeing the fruits of great relationships.
And it's consistency, and it's getting down to the basics, especially in today's day and age where we're in the middle of a pandemic. There's, one crazy thing happening after another. Industries are dealing with inflation. We're trying to cut costs, and all you need to do half the time is pick up the phone and have a conversation, because we're all human.
Yep, absolutely.
And I hear that in the moving and storage industry a lot, is our underwriters are there, they pick up the phone.
Absolutely.
They say no quickly, they get creative, they think outside of the box, and it's amazing as I've been doing these that I continue to hear the same theme within each business unit. So it's very refreshing. Yeah,
and when we talk about our underwriters, we have a baseline goal, and we meet it, I would say, all the time, is a quote turned around in 48 hours.
Oh my gosh.
From a complete submission to, I've got it in your hand in a format that you don't have to cut and paste and put it together into something else. It's turnkey. It's got your name as the broker on it. You can walk out to your prospect and present it.
That's amazing.
Right there. So 48-hour turnaround. Sometimes, and that's based on a complete submission.
Of course,
so,
totally understand that.
But it's some brokers will tell us, sometimes it takes a month from competition to get a good quote. But we pride ourselves in delivering that.
All right. What else? Is there any other thing, any other trends that you see in the independent contractor space?
Well, I think
I know you talked about staffing or finding workers.
I think just the whole supply chain issue has kind of reared its head, and it's kind of interesting to watch that with, in this year, the FMCSA says there have been over 90,000 truckers apply for their own authority. And that is part and parcel a result of the supply chain issue. All of a sudden, rates are doubling, tripling, and the guy that's contracted to ABC Truck Company, he's getting X amount a mile when he can get $2 more a mile being an independent and just working the spot market. The load boards, handheld, you can schedule your own now. It's not like it used to be.
Wow.
So we have seen substantial growth in our own authority business. So these guys
Nice.
are leaving the motor carrier, starting up their own deal. We write their coverage on a direct pay basis.
Ah.
So, that's, as long as the rates are where they are. Now, there's going to be a lot of pressure on fuel costs hitting
Yep.
them at the same time.
Well, luckily they'll have your fuel card.
Yeah, hopefully they will sign up for that. But, it's just a fluid market right now.
Yeah.
And there's the aging of the drivers is also creeping up.
Yeah.
Not a lot of young people getting in the business. I saw the other day one of the major motor carriers was offering a 6-digit salary for a trucker.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
That's kind of the going rate right now. Sign-on bonuses. And what's interesting to watch our book, we insure about 15,000 drivers, and we do about 3,000 endorsements a month.
Oh my
Add, change, delete.
gosh.
Some of those will just be a lien holder
Yeah.
change, but about 60% of our drivers move every year.
Wow.
So it creates a little bit of a challenge underwriting-wise, like you're underwriting X, but then in 12 months it's Y.
Yes.
Because the drivers move around. And one of the big challenges for the motor carriers is retention. It's just like us retaining employees.
Yeah, exactly.
Retaining drivers is a huge deal right now. And
Yeah.
they do everything humanly possible to keep their hauling capacity. So
Yeah.
tough situation for them. Trucking is not going anywhere.
No, it's our heart.
Yeah. Yep.
I see it in the moving and storage industry a lot of what you said. We're dealing with driver shortages and all
Yep.
of that, and retaining folks, and we're also seeing all the small. So individuals worked for a moving and storage company, larger company. They decide, hey, I can make money on my own. Go buy a box truck, get a license,
Absolutely.
and hire a couple people, and there you go. It's
Yep.
it's the fastest growing portion of the moving and storage industry,
Same
just like
thing.
yours.
Yeah, the onesie twosies
Yep,
are just
exactly.
exploding right now.
Yes. Okay, so now we have to end on a positive note.
Okay.
So insurance is really, really exciting, right?
Yeah.
I see it, I feel it. So what I want to know is, what are you excited about for the future? What are you optimistic about?
Trucking in general is exciting to me, and that sounds corny.
No, it doesn't. I love insurance.
But I'm trucking insurance.
Okay.
I'm from an agriculture background. Grew up hustling trucks and driving trucks, and when you look at the importance of trucking to our economy, that excites me. America needs to support these guys, and the lifestyle's hard. You spend a day in a truck. I know hours of service is one thing, but
Yeah.
as a kid, I'd drive a truck for 16 hours a day, and they'll just beat you up. But for these guys to do that as a profession, coast to coast, and certainly one of the growing segments of trucking is those that can be home at night. You got families, and one of the things I think kind of humbling for us in the independent contractor business has been our relationship with Rees Across America. Seeing the volunteer truckers in that venue, these are Americans.
So what is Rees Across America?
Well, it's started several years ago in northern Maine. A gentleman had some leftover, it's a Worcester wreath company,
Okay.
had some leftover wreaths, took them to Arlington,
Oh.
laid them on the military grave sites. He'd only had 5,000 the first
Yep.
year. It just became his calling in life, and we got involved about 10 years ago with our employees in Kansas City, and the national movement for that thing has grown to over 2 million wreaths are laid in December.
Oh my gosh.
And it happens because of truckers. It's volunteer trucks deliver from northern Maine all over those 2 million wreaths. They volunteer their truck, their time. It's just a calling. They take a break. They're not getting paid during that week.
Yeah.
And we've contributed $50,000 a year to give fuel cards to the truckers to help them. So a lot of our customers participate in that, and it's just, to me, it's a feel-good event. Love being part of that organization, but it just points to the type of people that are in the trucking business. So if you can't get excited about that, I don't know.
Well,
that makes me tick.
Scott, that is a great way to end this segment. Thank you so much for your time today and all the information that you provided. This was really informative. And so, you know, I'm going to go back to that. If I was an agent and I had some business I wanted to send you, how do I get a hold of you?
Well,
you offered your number.
You can start with me, scott.miller@iatinsurance.com. Drop me a note. I'd love to have a conversation with any broker with trucking business that's interested in engaging with us, or call me direct at 816-713-1195.
Wow, that is impressive. That is a testament, because not a lot of executives would give out their number like
I'll
this.
take all the phone calls I can get.
Oh, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Bobbie.
Thanks for joining us today, Scott. Thank you all for joining us. And I'm Bobbie Goldie with What's Brewing. Until next time.